Alright guys, so in this section we're going to be working with users, we're going to be working with authentication and JSON Web Tokens, protecting our routes and so on, having users able to register and log in. First thing we're going to do though is create a model for our users. Okay, each resource we have needs to have a Mongoose model with a schema. So to do that, let's first run our server. So we're just going to say npm run server, which will run nodemon, and we're going to open up, actually we're going to create a new folder in the root called models. Okay, and inside models we're going to have a new file, and we're going to call it user with a capital U .js. Okay, the convention for models is to be singular and to start with a capital. So in here we want to first bring in Mongoose, and let's set that to require Mongoose. And then we want to create a variable called schema, and we're going to set that to mongoose.schema. And then let's do create schema. We're going to call this user schema and set it to new schema, and pass in an object. And we basically want to put our fields. What is our users collection going to have? We're going to have a name, an email, a password, an avatar, and a date. Okay, now as far as avatars go in this application, we're using Gravatar, which will get us a user's avatar if they have one associated with the email address that they register with. And we're going to have a little info bubble that says that if you want an avatar, then use a Gravatar email. Okay, and they can go to, I believe it's wordpress.com, and they can upload a Gravatar for that email. So let's go and let's add in our fields. So we'll say name, and we're going to set the type to a string, and we're going to say that this is going to be required. So required true. Okay, and that's how we define a field. So what I'll do is let's just copy that, and then this one will be email, which will also be a string and required. Obviously we're going to need a password, which will be a string and required. Let's do avatar. Now avatar, I mean, the way that it's going to work is when they put in their email in the registration, we're going to have some logic that's going to hit the avatar server, and if there is an avatar, it'll put that image into this field. If not, it'll put basically a placeholder image. So I guess we could leave it we could leave required true. That's fine, because either way it's going to be an image, an avatar that they have associated, or just a placeholder. And then the last one is going to be the date. So date, the type isn't going to be string, it's going to be date. And then we're also going to set a default, so this will be put in automatically. And the default that we want to set this to is going to be date.now, which will give us whatever the current timestamp is. Okay, and then last thing we need to do here is export. So we're going to say module.exports equals, and we're going to set it to a variable user, and then set mongoose.model. And in here we want to pass in the name we want to use, which is users, and then the second parameter is the actual schema, so user schema, which is what we just created here. Okay, so we can save that, and now we have our user model, which is much simpler than, for instance, the profile model, which will have a whole bunch of fields. It'll have embedded arrays and things like that. So now that we have our model created, in the next video we're going to set up our registration. Okay, we're going to have a route for users to send data to, this data, and it will register them in the MongoDB database. Okay, so to basically create a record. All right, and we're going to use a tool called Postman for that, which we'll download. So I will see you in the next video.